Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Nara Namaskritya Naram Chem Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamati Ashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistaki. So continuing with the discussion on Krishna book, chapter 89, the super excellent power of Krishna. So continuing with Prabhupada's commentary. After testing Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu, Bhrigu returned to the assembly of great sages on the bank of the river Saraswati and described his experience. After hearing him with great attention, the sages concluded that of all the predominating deities, Lord Vishnu is certainly the greatest. In Srimad Bhagavatam, these great sages are described as Brahmavadina. Brahmavadina means those who talk about the absolute truth, but have not yet come to a conclusion that who is really the absolute, who's really the supreme. Generally, Brahmavadi refers to the impersonalists or to those who are students of the Vedas. It is to be understood, therefore, that all the gathered sages were serious students of the Vedic literature, but had not come to a definite conclusion as to who is the supreme personality of Godhead. But after hearing of Bhrigu Muni's experience and meeting all three predominating deities, Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, and Lord Vishnu, the sages concluded that Lord Vishnu is the supreme truth, the personality of Godhead. It is said in Srimad Bhagavatam that after hearing the details from Bhrigu Muni, the sages were astonished because although Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva were immediately agitated, Lord Vishnu, in spite of being kicked by Bhrigu Muni, was not agitated in the least. The example is given that small lamps may be agitated by a slight breeze, but the greatest lamp or the greatest illuminating source, the sun, is never moved, even by the greatest hurricane. One's greatness has to be estimated by one's ability to tolerate provoking situations. So this is one of the Prabhupada's favorite statements. One's greatness has to be estimated by one's ability to tolerate provoking situations. The sages gathered on the bank of the river Saraswati concluded that one who wants actual peace and freedom from all fear should take shelter of the lotus feet of Vishnu. Since Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva lost their peaceful attitude upon a slight provocation, how can they maintain the peace and tranquility of their devotees? As for Lord Vishnu, however, it is stated in the Bhagavad Gita that anyone who accepts Lord Vishnu, Krishna, as a supreme friend attains the highest perfection of peaceful life. So after that incident, when Bhrigu Muni went to Shvetadeep or Vaikuntha, where Lord Vishnu was lying down, Mother Lakshmi was massaging his feet, he kicked his chest, and Lord Vishnu got up and he said, "Oh, my chest is so strong, so hard. Your foot must have been hurt, so let me massage your foot." So Bhrigu Muni understood who is the real supreme deity. Yes, who is the really supreme. Actually, Prabhupada told another story that once one person from Germany came to India and he wanted to find out who is God, who is really the supreme. So he took a taxi outside the airport and he told the taxi wala that take me to all the temples. So there are so many temples, take me everywhere. So the taxi wala took him everywhere. So by the evening, taxi wala took him like to the temple of Hanumanji, Ganeshi, Durga, Bhagwan Ram, Krishna, every temple. Then in the evening, Taxiwala was tired and he said, now, what exactly are you looking for? What are you going here and there for? So that German man, he said, well, I was looking for God, the Supreme. Who's the Supreme? And in the evening, he said, now I have found out who is the Supreme. Taxiwala was surprised. He said, how can you come to this conclusion in just one day? You just got here. So Taxiwala asked him, who do you think is the Supreme? He said, Krishna is the Supreme. Wow, he said, how did you come to this conclusion? Well, the German guy said, every temple I went to, Durga was carrying this trident sitting on this lion, and Shivji is either carrying a trident or he's meditating, or Hanumanji, he has his gada, Ram also he having bow and arrow, and everywhere I went, everybody had some either engagement or they had some weapon in their hand. But only Krishna, when I went to his temple, he is standing there playing on his flute and standing there with Radharani. So he must be the Supreme, because Supreme Lord has nothing to do but enjoy. So that was his conclusion. It was the right conclusion, actually. But people, when they get into too much study of scriptures, they cannot understand who's the Supreme. Because Supreme Lord himself, Krishna himself, does not reveal himself to all these people who don't have bhakti. The sages thus concluded that by following the principles of Vaishnava Dharma, one becomes actually perfect. But that if one follows all the religious principles of a particular sect and does not become advanced in understanding the Supreme Personality of God and Vishnu, all such labor of love is fruitless. To execute religious principles means to come to the platform of perfect knowledge. If one comes to the platform of perfect knowledge, then he will be uninterested in material affairs. Perfect knowledge means knowledge of one's own self and the Supreme Self. The Supreme Self and the individual self, although one in quality, are different in quantity. This analytical understanding of knowledge is perfect. Simply to understand I'm not matter, I'm spirit, is not perfect knowledge. It is good, at least he has made some progress, but it's not perfect knowledge. The real religious principle is devotional service or bhakti. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna says, give up all other religious principles and simply surrender to me. Therefore, the term dharma applies only to Vaishnava Dharma or Bhagavad Dharma, by following which one automatically achieves all good qualities and advancements in life. So this is the real meaning of dharma, and this is the real knowledge. Perfect knowledge is when one understands, I'm a servant of God, and bhakti or devotional service is to serve the Lord, love and devotion. The highest perfectional knowledge is knowledge of the Supreme Lord. He cannot be understood by any process of religion other than devotional service. Therefore, the immediate result of perfect knowledge is achieved by executing devotional service. After attainment of knowledge, one becomes uninterested in the material world. This is not because of dry philosophical speculation. The devotee becomes uninterested in the material world, not simply because of theoretical understanding, but because of practical experience. When a devotee realizes the effect of association with the Supreme Lord, he naturally hates the association of so-called society, friendship, and love. This detachment is not dry. It's not dry detachment that, oh, everything is temporary, everything is illusory, so why get attached? No. But it is due to achieving a higher status of life by relishing transcendental mellows. It is further stated in Srimad Bhagavatam that after attainment of such knowledge and such detachment from material sense gratification, one's advancement in the 8 opulences attained through mystic yoga practice, such as Anima, Lagima, Prapti, Siddhis, is also achieved without separate effort. So this is the power of bhakti. Bhakti means it has everything, mukti, siddhi, everything is there. But devotee is not interested in all this. That's why he doesn't care. Perfect example is Maharaj Amrish. He was not a mystic yogi, but a great devotee. Yet, in a disagreement with Maharaj Amrish, the great mystic Durvasa Muni was defeated in the presence of the king's devotional attitude. In other words, a devotee does not need to practice the mystic yoga system to achieve power. Power is behind him by the grace of the Lord. Just as when a small child is surrendered to a powerful father, all the powers of the father are behind him or with him. So devotee does not need to practice the mystic yoga system to achieve power. Because this can distract us from the path of bhakti, from the path of service. It could be a big problem. That's why devotees don't need to go for all this. Although by doing bhakti, one gets everything. Bhukti, mukti, siddhi, everything. All these personified forms of bhukti, mukti, siddhi, they are standing at the doorstep of a devotee with folded hands and asking the devotee, begging the devotee to let us serve you. But the devotee says, no, I'm busy serving Krishna. When a person becomes famous as a devotee of the Lord, his reputation is never to be extinguished. Never to be extinguished. Lord Chaitanya, when discoursing with Ramanand Rai, questioned, what is the greatest fame? Ramanand Rai replied that to be known as a pure devotee of Lord Krishna is a perfect fame. The conclusion, therefore, is that Vishnu Dharma, or the religion of devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is meant for persons who are thoughtful. By proper utilization of thoughtfulness, one comes to the stage of thinking of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By thinking of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one becomes free from the contamination of the faulty association of the material world. And thus, one becomes peaceful. The world is in a disturbed condition because of scarcity of such peaceful devotees in human society. So a devotee is always peaceful, always. Although he is famous, there's nobody more famous than a Krishna's devotee, but he is peaceful. And in the society today, it's the chaos everywhere. We need peace. So unless one is a devotee, one cannot be equal to all living entities. A devotee is equally disposed towards the animals, the human beings, and all living entities, because he sees every living entity as a part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. In the Ishopanishad, it is clearly stated that one who has come to the stage of seeing all living beings equally does not hate anyone or favor anyone. So that is a stage, because then he sees everybody on the soul level, not bodily level. The devotee does not hanker to possess more than he requires. Devotees are therefore akinchana. In any condition of life, a devotee is satisfied. It is said that a devotee is even-minded whether he is in hell or in heaven. A devotee is callous to all subjects other than his engagement in devotional service. This mode of life is the highest perfection stage from which one can be elevated to the spiritual world, back home, back to God. The devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are especially attracted by the highest material quality, goodness. And the qualified Brahman is a symbolic representation of this goodness. Therefore, a devotee is attached to the Brahminical stage of life. He is not very much interested in passion or ignorance, although these qualities also emanate from the Supreme Lord, Vishnu. In Srimad Bhagavatam, the devotees are described as Nipuna Buddhya, which means they are the most intelligent class of men. Uninfluenced by attachment or hatred, the devotee lives very peacefully and is not agitated by the influence of passion and ignorance. So wonderful qualities of devotees are discussed by Srila Prabhupada here. So he's in goodness, he's always peaceful, equally, he sees everybody equally, does not hate or favor anyone. He sees on the level of soul, and he deals also on the level of the soul. Attracted by the highest material quality, goodness. That is Brahman. And that's a devotee. It may be questioned here why a devotee should be attached to the quality of goodness in the material world if he is transcendental to all material qualities. The answer is that there are different kinds of people existing in the modes of material nature. Those in the mode of ignorance are called Rakshasas. Those in the mode of passion are called Asuras. And those in the mode of goodness are called Suras or demigods. Under the direction of the Supreme Lord, these three classes of men are created by material nature. But those in the mode of goodness have a greater chance to be elevated to the spiritual world, back home, back to Godhead. So although all the modes are there and they are created by the Lord, but the mode of goodness has a greater chance, or those in the mode of goodness. And Prabhupada said mode of goodness is like the airport runway where the flight of bhakti takes up from. So at least by bhakti, we have to come to the mode of goodness. If not always, at least most of the time, we should be in the mode of goodness. In the material world, one mode or the other will be prominent. But if we work hard, try hard, endeavor to be in the mode of goodness, we will be. Because the soul is transcendental, actually. This body is what is in different modes. And body means different senses. So, and especially the mind, intelligence. So if we keep the mind and intelligence and goodness, senses will slowly come in control. And they can be elevated to mode of goodness. Thus, all the sages who assembled on the bank of the river Saraswati to try to determine who is the supreme predominating deity became freed from all doubts about Vishnu worship. All of them thereafter engaged in devotional service, and thus they achieved the desired result and went back to Godhead. So all of them engaged in devotional service, and then they went back to Godhead. So they all engaged in worshipping Krishna or Vishnu, became purified, went back. Simple. Those who are actually eager to be liberated from material entanglement would do well to accept at once the conclusion given by Srila Shukdev Goswami. In the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is spoken by Shukdev Goswami, it is said that hearing Srimad Bhagavatam is extremely conducive to liberation. The same fact is now confirmed by Sutta Goswami. If anyone who is traveling aimlessly within this material world cares to hear the nectarian words spoken by Shukdev Goswami, certainly he will come to the right conclusion, which is that simply by discharging devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one will be able to stop the fatigue of perpetually migrating from one material body to another. So Krishna says, Man mana bhav madhvakto madhyadi mam namaste. By doing this, you will come back to me without fail. In other words, one who becomes fixed in loving devotional service to Vishnu will certainly be able to get relief from this journey of material life. And the process is very simple. One has to give oral reception, means one has to hear to the sweet words spoken by Shukdev Goswami in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam. So basically, Shukdev Goswami is telling Parikshit Maharaj that you have already done this. You are listening and you have already heard Bhagavatam for last, 5-6 days now. So just worship Vishnu. Another conclusion is that we should never consider the demigods, even Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma, to be on an equal level with Lord Vishnu. If we do this, then according to Padma Puran, we are immediately categorized as atheists. Also in the Vedic scripture known as Harivansha, it is stated that only the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, is to be worshipped, and that the Hare Krishna Mahamantra or any such Vishnu mantra is always to be chanted. In the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Lord Brahma says, both Lord Shiva and I are engaged by the Supreme Personality of Godhead to act in different capacities under His direction. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is stated that only Master is Krishna and that all others in all categories of life are servants of Krishna only. All others is also all the Vishnu Tattvas also. This is to be understood. Only Master, Ekala Ishvara Krishna. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is confirmed by the Lord that there is no truth superior to Krishna. Shukdev Goswami also, in order to draw attention to the fact that among all Vishnu Tattva forms, Lord Krishna is 100%, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, narrated the story of incident which took place when Lord Krishna was present. So this story will take up tomorrow. So we'll stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments. Okay, so we'll stop here. You all have a safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila
Hare Krishna, Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Jai Shri Prabhupada.